I'm so glad you're here with us today. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles, and if you're just joining our community, you might be wondering what this course is all about. I'd love to invite you to check out the very first video on this channel, where I break down exactly what A Course in Miracles is, how it came to exist, and why it's been transforming lives for over 5 decades. It'll give you the perfect foundation for everything we explore together here. Now today, we're entering one of the most profound and honestly, most challenging sections of the entire course. We're exploring Chapter 7, Section 5, Healing and the Changelessness of Mind, and I know what you might be thinking right now. You might be thinking, wait, if my mind is changeless, then what's the point of healing? What am I even doing here trying to learn and grow? And brother, that is exactly the right question to ask. That tension you're feeling, that confusion, that's actually the doorway we need to walk through together. Because here's what the Course is asking us to consider, and it's radical. It's asking us to completely reimagine what healing means. Everything you've been taught about healing, everything you've believed about sickness and wellness, about brokenness and wholeness, is about to be turned inside out. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. It might challenge everything you think you know about yourself and your journey. But stay with me, because what's on the other side of this understanding is nothing short of liberation. Think about how you've approached healing in your life up until now. Maybe you've been trying to fix yourself. Maybe you've spent years, maybe even decades, working on your wounds, your traumas, your patterns. And I'm not saying that work wasn't valuable, but what if I told you that the very premise of that work, the idea that you are broken and need to be fixed, is the actual problem? What if the real healing happens, not when we change ourselves, but when we remember what we truly are and have always been? This is where the concept of the changeless mind comes in, and it's going to challenge you. The Course tells us that our mind, our true mind, the mind that God created, has never changed. It cannot change. It remains exactly as it was created, whole, perfect, complete, and eternally at peace. And you might be protesting right now. You might be saying, but I feel broken. I experience pain. I struggle every single day. How can you tell me my mind is changeless? And brother, I hear you. I understand that resistance because I've felt it too. But here's what we're going to discover together today. What you think of as your mind, that chattering voice, that anxious storyteller, that wounded identity, that's not your true mind at all. That's the ego, and the ego is nothing more than a belief in separation, a dream of being something other than what God created. And yes, that dream feels real. The pain feels real. The sickness feels real. But the Course is inviting us to consider that real and true are not the same thing. Healing, then, is not about changing your mind. It's not about becoming something you're not. It's about removing the blocks, the barriers, the false beliefs that hide the truth of what you already are. It's about remembering. It's about recognition. And that changes everything about how we approach not just our own healing, but how we see everyone around us. So take a deep breath with me right now. We're about to explore something beautiful, something transformative, and yes, something that might shake the very foundation of how you see yourself in this world. But you're ready for this. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Let's begin. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really feel into this question. Who were you before the world told you who you should be? Before the wounds, before the disappointments, before every experience that seemed to shape you into who you think you are today? Can you sense that there's something in you that has remained untouched by all of it? Something that watches, that knows, that simply is? That, brother, is the changeless mind. And understanding this is going to transform everything. Now, the Course makes a distinction that most spiritual teachings miss entirely. It separates the eternal mind from the temporal ego. And this isn't just philosophical wordplay. This is the key to your freedom. Your eternal mind, the mind that God created, exists beyond time, beyond circumstances, beyond every single thing that has ever happened to you in this world. It is perfect, it is whole, and here's the crucial part. It has never left its source. It has never left God. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I feel so far from God. I feel separated. I feel alone. And yes, you feel that way. But feeling something and that something being true are two entirely different things. This is where we have to get really clear, really precise in our understanding. What you're experiencing right now, this sense of being a separate individual, living in a body, navigating a world of problems and pain, that's the ego's story. And the ego is brilliant at making its story feel absolutely real. It has to be, because the ego's entire existence depends on you believing in separation. The ego is nothing more than the belief that you actually did separate from God, that you actually did leave your source, and that you're now on your own, vulnerable, incomplete, and constantly seeking to fill a void that can never be filled. But here's what the Course is telling us, and this is so important, that separation never actually happened. It cannot happen. It's impossible. You cannot be separate from your source any more than a sunbeam can be separate from the sun. You can dream that you're separate. You can believe that you're separate. You can build an entire identity around being separate. But you cannot make it true. Your mind remains as God created it, always, immutably, eternally. This is what changelessness means. Not that you can't learn, not that you can't grow, not that your experience doesn't shift and evolve, but that beneath all of that, underneath every thought, every feeling, every experience, there is something in you that is absolutely untouched, absolutely perfect, absolutely whole. Think about the ocean for a moment. The surface of the ocean is constantly changing. Waves rise and fall, storms rage, the water moves and shifts and appears to be in constant flux. But go deep enough, brother. Go down to the depths, and you find stillness. You find a place that is completely unaffected by everything happening on the surface. That's your true mind. That's the changeless reality of who you are. And here's why this matters so much. If your mind is truly changeless, if the essence of who you are has never been damaged, never been broken, never been diminished in any way, then what is there to heal? This is the question that opens everything. This is where real healing begins, because as long as you believe you're broken, you'll keep trying to fix yourself. And the trying to fix yourself is what keeps the illusion of brokenness alive. Do you see the trap? The ego convinces you that you're damaged, and then it offers you endless ways to repair yourself, none of which ever quite work, because they're all based on the false premise that there's something wrong with you in the first place. But the truth, the radical, liberating truth, is that nothing is wrong with you. Nothing has ever been wrong with you. You are as God created you, and God does not create anything that needs to be fixed. Now, I'm not saying your pain isn't real to you. I'm not dismissing your struggles or your suffering. What I'm saying is that all of that is happening on the surface, in the realm of the ego, in the dream of separation. And healing happens when we stop trying to rearrange the dream and instead wake up to what's real. When we stop trying to change the changeless and instead remember it. This is the foundation, brother. This is where we begin. With the recognition that beneath every illusion, beneath every false identity, beneath every story you've told yourself about who you are, there is something unchangeable, something eternal, something absolutely perfect. And it's not something you need to become. It's what you already are. Now that we understand the changeless nature of mind, we need to talk about what healing actually is. And brother, this is where everything you thought you knew about healing is going to be challenged. Because the Course is telling us something that sounds almost impossible at first. Healing is not about change. Healing is about recognition. Let me say that again. Healing is not about changing yourself. It's about recognizing what has always been true. Think about how you've approached healing in your life. Maybe you've tried therapy, energy work, self-help books. And I'm not saying those things don't have value, but most healing modalities operate from a fundamental assumption that something is broken and needs to be fixed. that you are sick and need to become well, that you are incomplete and need to become whole. But the Course is asking us to flip that entire paradigm upside down. What if you're not broken? What if you never were? What if healing is simply the removal of the blocks, the barriers, the false beliefs that are hiding the truth of your wholeness from your awareness? Imagine you're in a room filled with light, but you're wearing a blindfold. The light is there. It's always been there, but you can't see it because something is blocking your perception. Healing in the traditional sense would be like trying to create light in the room. But healing in the Course's understanding is simply removing the blindfold. The light doesn't need to be created or changed. It just needs to be revealed. This is the distinction between cure and healing, and it's crucial. A cure addresses the body. A cure tries to fix symptoms, eliminate pain, restore physical function. But healing addresses the mind. Healing recognizes that sickness is not a physical problem. Sickness is a defense against truth. That might sound strange. How can sickness be a defense? But think about it. As long as you believe you're sick, as long as you identify with the body and its limitations, you don't have to face the truth of what you really are. You don't have to accept your power. Sickness becomes a way of saying, see, I'm just a vulnerable body. I'm not the powerful, eternal, creative mind that God created. The ego loves sickness because sickness proves separation. If you can get sick, if you can suffer, then clearly you're separate from God, right? And as long as you believe that, the ego remains safe. Your true identity remains hidden. But when you begin to understand healing the way the Course teaches it, you stop trying to fix the body and you start correcting the mind. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of sickness, and you start recognizing that sickness is a choice, a defense, a way of avoiding truth. This is where we need to talk about perception versus knowledge. Perception is how you see things through the ego's lens. You perceive yourself as sick or well, strong or weak, whole or broken. But perception is not truth. Perception is interpretation based on the belief in separation. Knowledge is direct awareness of truth. Knowledge doesn't interpret or judge. Knowledge simply knows. And what knowledge knows is that you are exactly as God created you, perfect, complete, whole, and utterly incapable of being sick in any real sense. So healing is the journey from perception to knowledge. It's the shift from seeing yourself through the ego's distorted lens to seeing yourself through the Holy Spirit's vision of truth. And in that vision, brother, there is no sickness. There is only wholeness, only love, only the eternal perfection of your true nature. Here's where this gets really practical. If healing is recognizing what was never lost, then what's your part in this? The answer is simple. You withdraw your belief in sickness. You stop investing your faith in the ego's story of vulnerability and limitation. Every time you affirm your sickness, every time you identify with pain, every time you say, I am sick or I am damaged, you're reinforcing the very illusion that keeps healing away. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're misidentifying. You're claiming as your identity something that is not true and never has been. Healing is a return to wholeness, but not a return in the sense of going somewhere you've never been. It's remembering where you've always been. You never left wholeness. You only dreamed you did. And healing is waking up from that dream. This is why the Course says that healing is certain. Not because you're going to achieve something, but because what you are has never changed. The truth of you is still true. And no dream, no matter how convincing, can alter that reality. Now we come to the most practical part of this teaching. Because understanding healing is one thing, but actually extending healing, actually being an instrument of healing in this world, that's where everything comes together. And brother, what the Course teaches about the healer's function is going to change how you see every single person you encounter. Here's the foundational principle. You cannot give what you do not have. And you cannot have what you do not give. So if you want to heal another, you must first recognize healing in yourself. If you want to see wholeness in your brother, you must first accept wholeness as your own truth. But here's the beautiful paradox. The act of seeing wholeness in another is what heals you. You heal yourself by healing others. You recognize your own wholeness by recognizing it in your brother. This is why the Course says to have, give all to all. When you look at someone and see them as sick, as broken, as damaged, what are you really doing? You're projecting your own belief in separation onto them. You're making real for them the same illusion you're making real for yourself. And in that moment, you're reinforcing sickness in both of you. But when you choose to see past their symptoms, past their suffering, past their ego's story, and you see the changeless truth of what they are, something miraculous happens. You're not denying their pain. You're simply choosing to see beyond it to what's real. And in that seeing, in that recognition of their wholeness, you're remembering your own. This is the healer's function, to see truly. Not to fix, not to cure, not to save, but to see. To look past the illusion of sickness to the reality of wholeness. To hold in your mind the truth of what your brother is, even when he's forgotten it himself. Now, understand, this is not about positive thinking or pretending everything is fine. This is about shifting your perception from the ego's interpretation to the Holy Spirit's vision. The ego sees sickness and says, this is real. This person needs to be fixed. The Holy Spirit sees the same situation and says, this is a call for love. This is an opportunity to witness truth. Think about someone in your life right now who's struggling. Notice how you typically respond. Do you see them as a victim? Do you pity them? All of those responses, well-meaning as they are, come from the belief that they're actually broken. But what if you held them in your mind as the perfect creation of God that they are? What if you refuse to see them as lacking, as damaged, as less than whole? Not in a way that dismisses their experience, but in a way that sees beyond their experience to their truth? This is where the Holy Spirit becomes essential. Your ego cannot see wholeness because the ego exists only in the perception of lack. But the Holy Spirit sees only the changeless perfection of God's creation. And when you invite the Holy Spirit to look through you, everything changes. Here's the practical application. Before you interact with anyone, you pause and say, Holy Spirit, help me see this person as you see them. Help me see past their pain to their truth. And then you trust. You trust that healing happens when someone is in the presence of a mind that sees them as whole, as perfect, as exactly as God created them. You don't heal by trying to change anyone. You heal by changing your mind about them. You heal by withdrawing your belief in their sickness and placing your faith in their wholeness. And in that shift, you're not just healing them, you're healing yourself. Because there is only one mind, and every time you heal one brother, you're healing the entire sonship. So your function in every moment is this. See wholeness. Refuse to make sickness real. Be the one who remembers, so that others can remember too. So here we are, brother. We've journeyed together through one of the most profound teachings in A Course in Miracles. We've explored the changeless nature of mind. We've redefined what healing truly means. And we've discovered the healer's function in this world. And if you're feeling a little bit shaken right now, if something in you has shifted, if you're seeing yourself and everyone around you just a little bit differently, then this teaching has done its work. Because that's what truth does. It doesn't add anything to you. It doesn't make you into something you're not. It simply removes the veils, the barriers, the false beliefs that have been hiding your reality from you. And what's revealed is what has always been there. Your wholeness, your perfection, your eternal nature as God's creation. Let me leave you with this. Every interaction you have from this moment forward is an opportunity to practice this teaching. Every person you meet is an invitation to choose between seeing with the ego or seeing with the Holy Spirit. Every moment of apparent sickness, whether in yourself or another, is a chance to remember the truth instead of reinforcing the illusion. You don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to get it right every time. But you do have to be willing to question your perception, willing to ask for help from the Holy Spirit, willing to see past what your eyes show you to what truth reveals. And in that willingness, brother, healing happens. Not because you made it happen, but because you stopped blocking it. Your mind is changeless. It remains as God created it. And no dream, no matter how convincing, no matter how painful, can alter that reality. Healing is simply waking up to what has always been true. And the beautiful thing is, you don't wake up alone. Every time you see wholeness in another, every time you refuse to make sickness real, every time you choose truth over illusion, you're helping the entire sonship remember who they are. This is your function. This is your gift. This is what you're here to do. Now, if this teaching resonated with you, if something in these words touched that place of truth within you, I want to ask you to do something. Hit that like button right now. It helps more people find these teachings, and trust me, there are so many brothers out there who need to hear this message. They need to be reminded of their wholeness just as much as you do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. We're here every single day, diving deep into A Course in Miracles, exploring these profound teachings, and supporting each other in remembering truth. This is a community of seekers, of students, of brothers who are committed to waking up together. And we'd love to have you as part of this journey. Share this video with someone who needs it. You know who I'm talking about. That person in your life who's struggling, who feels broken, who's forgotten their wholeness. Send them this video, not because you're trying to fix them, but because you're offering them a reminder of what they truly are. And please, leave a comment below. Tell me what struck you about this teaching. Tell me what challenged you. Tell me how you're going to apply this in your life. Because this isn't just about watching videos, brother. This is about transformation. This is about actually living these principles, actually being the healer, actually seeing with vision instead of judgment. Your comments create connection. They inspire me. They inspire others who read them. They create a space where we can all support each other in this journey. So don't hold back. Share what's on your heart. Remember, you are as God created you. Nothing has changed that. Nothing can change that. And every moment is an opportunity to remember that truth, not just for yourself, but for everyone you encounter. I'll see you tomorrow with another deep dive into the Course. Until then, practice seeing truly. Practice being the healer. Practice remembering the changeless perfection of your mind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your willingness. Thank you for being part of this community of truth seekers. I'll see you in the next one.